Keene, New Hampshire lay draped in a shroud of mist, its quaint serenity betraying the secrets it held. Time seemed to hum a lethargic melody as the centuries-old cobblestone streets soaked in the cool morning dew. The monotonous lives of the townsfolk were rendered vibrant by the morning light, obscuring the insidious underbelly beneath the town's charm. From afar, Frank Callahan was an indistinguishable silhouette, another worn fixture in Keene's weather-beaten panorama. He moved with purpose, his hardened gaze holding a story of 1,000 sleepless nights. The winds of age and anxiety had etched fine lines onto his face, creating a map of internal battles fought and won. Frank was not a man of many words, but those he spoke were always tinged with an honesty that few could match. In an age where sincerity was scarce, his existence was a quiet rebellion, a beacon of genuineness. Nestled in the heart of Keene was his destination, a peculiar mortician's office of somber gray stone, isolated in its dread-inducing glory. It was the epicenter of his current investigation, a case that seemed to constantly whisper echoes from his past. The alleged slave trade that he was tasked to unravel was as elusive as it was alarming, its trails leading him time and again to the mortician's icy doorstep. The mortician, a man named Harold Griggs, was an enigma within an enigma. The locals spoke of him in hushed whispers, stories of his cold demeanor and unnerving presence saturating the town's folklore. His solitude, they claimed, was self-imposed, an invisible barrier between him and the rest of the world. Their first encounter had been a study in contrast. Harold, icy and impenetrable, met Frank's questions with stoic silence. Frank, however, found strength in his own stillness, drawing from the reservoir of patience he had cultivated through his struggle with anxiety. The exchange was a dance of words and silences, where the unsaid held more meaning than the uttered. "You seem interested in my work, Frank," Harold had murmured, his words as crisp as the autumn air. Frank had simply nodded, his retort a simple whisper in the wind. "Perhaps not the work, Harold, but the worker." The conversation was a mirror to their personas, their words painting a vivid tapestry of their lives, one man clinging onto his own humanity, the other potentially bartering it away. It was an encounter that deepened the mystery, a conversation that left Frank mulling over the disturbing aura that clung to the mortician. Thus began his dance with danger, his investigation weaving him into Keene's darkest corners. The whispers and shadows of the mortician's existence grew louder and more daunting with each passing day. Yet he was undeterred. He carried the echoes of the old traumas that hardened his resolve, his sincerity a torch illuminating the path towards truth. As he sifted through the shrouded patterns of Keene, his anxiety was not a shackling fear, but a relentless tide. It urged him onward, pushing him to confront the horrors that might lay ahead. With every step closer to the mortician's world, he sensed the tremors of a truth far beyond the confines of his past experiences. He knew that his journey into the heart of Keene's whispers and shadows was only just beginning. Within the cold granite walls of the mortician's office, the air hung heavy with a profound unease, pregnant with countless untold stories. Frank could not shake the feeling that the office was a gateway, a portal leading to realms shrouded in mystery. It was a place where the whispers of the dead intermingled with the silence of the living, where existence itself seemed caught in a macabre waltz. As he delved deeper into Harold's domain, he unearthed peculiarities that both fascinated and repelled him. Trinkets of an indeterminable origin lay scattered, their bizarre symbolism etching questions into his already muddled mind. Obscure artifacts, archaic tomes, and cryptic inscriptions filled the mortician's space, each hinting at a world beyond our understanding. Harold's interactions with the townsfolk were as enigmatic as the man himself. His disquieting calmness unsettled those around him, his presence an uncomfortable reminder of the inevitable end that awaited all. Yet his demeanor wasn't the mere stoicism of a man used to dealing with death. It was an eerie detachment, as if he resided on the precipice of an alternate reality, forever teetering on the edge. In the soft glow of twilight, he found himself in the heart of the mortician's office, the anxiety that had always gnawed at him now buzzing like a restless swarm. The morbidity of the place clawed at his senses, the ghostly whispers now a deafening clamor in his mind. A chance encounter with Harold during one of these visits further fueled his growing suspicion. Harold, his face partially concealed in the shadowy gloom, observed him with a gaze that bore the coldness of the void. His voice, soft yet ominous, filled the silent room. "You seem drawn to the darkness, Frank." Frank, poised on the precipice of fear and determination, met his gaze unflinchingly. "Not drawn, Harold. Just not afraid of it." Harold's cryptic smile at his retort sent shivers down his spine, the icy stare seemingly piercing his very soul. It was an encounter that solidified his belief. Harold was not just an average citizen, he was a gatekeeper to a universe unseen. Days morphed into weeks as he remained ensnared in the enigma of Harold's world. His anxiety was now a familiar specter, the relentless whispers of his mind pushing him deeper into the abyss of the unknown. Sleep was a luxury he could not afford, as the seemingly mundane objects in the mortician's office took on ominous significance under his watchful gaze. Amid the echoing silence of a particularly grim night, he stumbled upon an unsettling discovery. Hidden away in a dusty corner of the office was a detailed blueprint of what appeared to be a ritual, its instructions lined with references to otherworldly beings and portals. It was a testament to a truth he had begun to suspect. Keen's slave trade was not just the work of human hands. It was a horrifying pact with entities from beyond his comprehension. With this newfound knowledge, he was filled with a feeling of profound dread. He knew he was standing on the edge of an unfathomable chasm, the reality he once knew crumbling around him. But as the echoes of the mortician grew louder, so did his resolve. He was ready to step into the shadowy depths, for he knew that only by venturing into the heart of this cosmic horror could he hope to uncover the full truth of the mortician's machinations. Night, in its deep and infinite expanse, unfurled above Keene. The town lay bathed in lunar luminescence, the facade of its tranquil exterior belying the tumult within. Beneath the cloak of this deceptive serenity, Frank stood at the precipice of an unimaginable revelation. The mortician's office took on a more sinister character under the pallid moonlight. Its hulking granite silhouette loomed ominously over Frank, its whispers now deafening roars in the silence of the night. Anxiety, like a treacherous undercurrent, tugged at his consciousness, urging him toward an act of unprecedented audacity. Driven by the cryptic clues he had unearthed, he decided to undertake a nocturnal vigil at the mortician's office. Armed with the anticipation of dread and the determination of a man with nothing to lose, he cloaked himself in the shadowy depths of the surrounding grove. The night was pregnant with mystery, its breath filled with tales waiting to be narrated. As the clock struck the ghostly hour of midnight, his vigil bore fruit. Harold emerged from his dwelling, a grim figure silhouetted against the spectral glow of the office's interior. Under the scrutiny of the ever-watchful moon, the mortician began an intricate performance that seemed both horrendous and hypnotic. It was a dance with the shadows, a complex symphony of movements that seemed to violate the known laws of nature. With every arcane symbol he traced in the air, every otherworldly word he uttered, the atmosphere around him warped, like reality was being twisted and torn asunder. The culmination of this eerie spectacle was an event so bizarre, so impossible that he could scarcely believe his eyes. A portal opened, its shimmering surface pulsating with an energy that throbbed with an alien rhythm. What emerged from its depths were not men, but entities so horrific, so utterly unlike anything he had ever seen, that they seemed torn from the fabric of a nightmare. These creatures were an affront to the natural order, their forms constantly shifting and changing in a disorienting display of cosmic chaos. They were a testament to the horrors that lurked beyond his understanding, beyond the reach of his sanity. His heart hammered against his ribs, each beat echoing the rhythm of his spiraling anxiety. His gaze remained fixed on the scene unfolding before him, his mind struggling to comprehend the magnitude of what he was witnessing. The victims of the slave trade were not merely being trafficked. They were being offered sacrifice to these otherworldly abominations. His anxiety, a tormentor that had hounded him for decades, evolved into an alarm bell, ringing incessantly, refusing to be ignored. It was a clarion call to action, a signal that he was the only one who could halt this unholy exchange. Yet despite the terror, a resolve began to take root within. His battle with anxiety had primed him for this moment, for standing on the edge of the abyss and not succumbing to the vertigo. He would confront the mortician and these cosmic horrors, no matter the cost. His past had prepared him for this ultimate challenge, and he would not back down. With this resolve seared into his heart, he retreated into the night, his mind awash with plans and contingencies. As he moved away from the mortician's office, the first streaks of dawn painted the horizon, heralding a new day. Yet for Frank, the darkness had only just begun to deepen. In the harrowing wake of revelation, Keene, New Hampshire, seemed more an alien landscape than the quaint township it masqueraded as. The idyllic serenity now bore an undertone of dread, the innocence of its people a stark contrast to the dark underbelly that festered beneath. Standing at the edge of this cosmic precipice, he felt the weight of his task like a millstone around his heart. The daylight hours were a tense preparation for what lay ahead. His world had been upended, yet he knew he needed to preserve an appearance of normalcy, to keep Harold unaware of his newfound knowledge. Every casual conversation, every shared glance, was laced with a sense of impending confrontation. His anxiety became his ally, sharpening his instincts, tuning his senses to any shift in the mortician's behavior. As the sun made its languid descent, painting the horizon with hues of crimson and gold, he readied himself for the inevitable showdown. He was a silent sentinel against the growing darkness, a lone warrior stepping into the unknown. His anxiety was his shield, his sincerity his sword. The dance with oblivion commenced as the clock struck midnight. Harold once again commenced his grotesque ritual, the night air bending and contorting around him. As the portal opened, pulsating with an uncanny energy, Frank emerged from his hiding place, his heart pounding a relentless rhythm against his ribs. Harold's face twisted in surprise as he saw Frank, the gatekeeper caught off guard. Frank's voice, previously soft and subdued, now rang out strong and determined. "It ends here, Harold." What followed was a battle of wills more than a physical confrontation. Frank, emboldened by his resolution, stood his ground, his spirit unbowed in the face of the cosmic horrors before him. He challenged Harold's control over the beings, using the very ritual that the mortician had crafted. As he recited the incantations from the blueprint he had discovered, he felt a connection with the realm beyond the portal. He experienced a sense of vastness, an awareness of the myriad realities existing parallel to his own. The experience was terrifying and awe-inspiring, the comprehension of such infiniteness a humbling realization. The creatures, lured by Frank's incantations, began to turn on Harold. The mortician's calm demeanor shattered, replaced by a frantic desperation as he tried to regain control. Yet Frank's sincerity and strength of will prevailed. In the ensuing chaos, he managed to reverse the ritual, compelling the creatures to return to their realm. The portal, once a pulsating window into oblivion, started to shrink, the otherworldly light diminishing. The last image he saw was of Harold, his icy eyes wide with terror, as he was dragged into the beyond by his erstwhile minions. The finality of the portal's closure reverberated through the silent night, leaving Frank alone in the mortician's office. The dread-inducing structure was now nothing more than a husk, the whispers of its previous inhabitants silenced. He left the office and returned to the heart of Keene, a different man. He had stared into the abyss, walked on the precipice of sanity, and returned to tell the tale. His battle with anxiety, his silent rebellion against his personal demons, had led him to prevail against literal ones. Keene, New Hampshire returned to its tranquil existence, the sinister undercurrents of its past washed away. Yet he was forever changed. He bore the knowledge of what lay beyond, the terrifying reality of the cosmic horrors that lurked in the unknown. He was a silent guardian, forever vigilant against the whispers and shadows that hinted at the beyond. His experience had altered him, scarring his soul with its horrors, yet also strengthening his spirit. He was a survivor of the cosmic beyond, the man who had escaped the grasp of horrors unimaginable. And so, as dawn rose, he understood that while he had escaped the abyss, he would forever carry a part of it within him, an eternal reminder of his dance with the cosmic horrors from beyond. We appreciate you tuning in. If you fancied the content, show your support with a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to keep up with our eerie adventures. Eldritch Tales Factory has plenty more to offer. Until next time.